The year 1929. A year that began like any other but would end catastrophically. Who knew that the euphoria of the Roaring Twenties, with its extravagant parties, charming dances, and boundless optimism, would end in a deafening silence? The crash of the New York Stock Exchange, in October of that year, marked the beginning of one of the darkest periods in world economic history, the Great Depression. Stocks, once seen as a sure path to wealth, plummeted alarmingly. Millions of people lost their jobs, their homes, their savings. Lines of unemployed people and lines to receive bread became common sights in cities. The world plunged into a decade of misery and instability. Entire families were forced to relocate, seeking any opportunity for survival. And the worst part? The crisis of '29 was not limited to American borders. The financial crisis spread rapidly. The crisis spread like wildfire, hitting Europe, Latin America, the whole world. No continent was spared. International trade devastated. Unemployment sky high. Global economies were in ruins. Poverty, a cruel reality for millions. Cities were filled with slums and precarious housing. Faith in the capitalist system shattered. People began to question the effectiveness and fairness of capitalism. In its place, extremist ideologies, such as fascism and communism, gained strength, planting the seeds for what would become World War II. Economic instability would fuel political instability. The stock market crash of 1929 is a scar on history, a timeless reminder of the dangers of unchecked speculation and the importance of regulating financial markets, a lesson that echoes to this day. After all, those who do not learn from the past are doomed to repeat it. History teaches us the importance of prudence and preparation. Imagine Brazil after Carnival, a contagious euphoria, a desire to celebrate life, where every street becomes a stage of joy and vibrant colors. That's how it was in the United States in the 1920s. After the end of World War I, the country experienced an unprecedented economic boom, an era of prosperity that seemed to have no end. The automobile industry, led by Henry Ford, was mass-producing cars, revolutionizing the way people moved and lived. New technologies, such as radio and the telephone, connected people and created new industries, transforming communication and entertainment. Americans were buying everything, fueled by the belief in a prosperous future and the relentless pursuit of easy profit. Stores were crowded and consumption seemed limitless. It was the Jazz Age, a period of optimism and excess, where music and dance reflected the spirit of the times. The stock market then became the main stage for this speculative euphoria, attracting investors from all over. Investors, big and small, eagerly threw themselves into buying stocks as if there were no tomorrow, believing that prosperity was guaranteed. The belief? The market would only go up forever without ever stopping. Nobody wanted to be left out of the party. Everyone wanted a piece of the pie. But like every good carnival, Ash Wednesday was approaching, bringing with it the harsh and inevitable reality. Imagine buying a new car by making just a small down payment and financing the rest. That's basically how buying on margin worked, a practice that became extremely popular in the United States in the 1920s. This practice allowed investors to buy stocks with only a small percentage of the total value, borrowing the rest from a broker. It was like placing a bet on roulette. If you won, the payout was huge. If you lost, the debt would drown you. And guess what? A lot of people bet too high without thinking about the consequences. When stock prices began to fall, many investors found themselves caught in a trap, forced to sell their stocks to cover their debts. This additional selling pressure accelerated the market decline, creating a vicious cycle of decline. Buying on margin, combined with speculative euphoria and lack of regulation, turned the American dream into an economic nightmare. October 1929. A month that would be forever etched in world economic history. The month that marked the end of the party and the beginning of a long hangover. The 1920s, known as the Roaring Twenties, were a time of prosperity and excess. On Thursday, October 24th, Black Thursday, the stock market suffered a dizzying fall. Newspaper headlines reflected the panic and confusion. Panic gripped investors who rushed to sell their shares at any price. The New York Stock Exchange turned into chaos. It was like a stampede on a Brazil World Cup game day, but instead of joy, there was only fear and despair. The atmosphere was pure tension. The following Monday, October 28th, the market plunged even further, recording its biggest percentage drop in a single day. Black Monday further aggravated the crisis. Black Monday became a symbol of the stock market crash. Confidence in the market was completely shaken. Millions of shares were put up for sale, but no one wanted to buy. The market was saturated with worthless paper. The stock market turned into a clearance sale, but no one wanted to take anything home. The situation was desperate. The collapse of Wall Street in October 1929 marked the end of the Jazz Age and the beginning of a long period of global economic recession. The Great Depression was just beginning. The consequences of the crash would be felt by millions of people around the world in the following decade. Families lost their homes, jobs disappeared, and hunger spread. The stock market crash of 1929 left deep scars on societies and economies around the world. But like every major crisis, it also brought valuable lessons that shaped the future. Governments and economists learned the importance of regulating financial markets. Measures were created to protect investors and prevent a disaster like this from happening again. In the United States, for example, the Securities and Exchange Commission, SEC, was created in 1934 to oversee and bring transparency to financial operations. The crisis also highlighted the need for a social safety net. Programs like Social Security were introduced to support citizens in times of need. The implementation of these social welfare policies helped minimize the impacts of the Great Depression and established a new role for government in the economy. The years following the 1929 crash were marked by reconstruction and resilience. Humanity has shown its ability to adapt and overcome challenges. Technological innovations and changes in economic policies paved the way for a stronger world, prepared to face new obstacles. And so, we come to the end of our deep dive into the stock market crash of 1929. We hope you enjoyed it and learned with us about these events that marked the global economy. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, leave your like, and share the video with your friends. Thanks for watching.